What's going on, YouTube? So when you think of Swedish luxury, one of the cars that's sure to come to mind is the Volvo XC90. Its second generation debuted to much acclaim when it was first introduced for the 2016 model year. But that brings us to today. Volvo is finally redesigning their bestseller with a new face, new tech, and luxury goodies. So is this the flagship luxury SUV you've been waiting for? That's what I'm in Gothenburg, Sweden to find out today. So what better place than to start out here on the exterior of this new XC90. Now, I do want to talk about a couple things right off the bat. Volvo is calling this a 25 and a half model year. So it's going to kind of be that half model year for the XC90. And I do want to point out that if you're noticing it looks kind of similar in overall shape, it does actually ride on the same platform as the current XC90. So it's not technically all new, but there's a lot of new elements for us to dive into. Now, one of those new elements is up here in the front, and you can really see that profoundly here with the grille. You'll notice that we have a really cool shape to this. It actually kind of flows with the new emblem down through here, a diagonal shape, and then we also have another diagonal shape on the side. I think it looks really good and elegant, and you are also noticing that it's finished in chrome. That's because the XC90 will continue to be bright theme exclusive here in the US. Now, as far as our lighting, that is also going to be revised for this new XC90. As you can see, the lights now touch the grille. That's something new for this XC90 model, and we're also going to have an updated Thor's hammer design. Now, you'll see that the daytime running light has a very cool shape to it. We're also going to have projector LEDs as standard equipment. Now, I do also want to point out that you're not going to have the split headlight design like you would find on the EX90. And then as we drop down to this lower area, you'll notice that this piece is new, as well as this lower fascia design. You can also raise and lower this vehicle because it does have a four-corner air suspension. Now, no new vehicle would be complete without new wheel designs, and indeed we are going to have that on the XC90. Now, what you're looking at now is a very nice wheel design. I absolutely love the way this looks as a classy look with some contrast elements in here. It's a 22-inch wheel itself, and of course that is going to be a very large wheel. You start at actually 20s on the core model, and I do want to point out that what we're looking at today is the top-end T8 Ultra model. Now, as far as our charge port is concerned, we do have a new design to the door itself. And then, of course, since this is a plug-in hybrid, you do have your European plug right there. As far as the mirror itself is concerned, we do expect to have the same functionalities for 25 and a half. So we're going to have auto dimming, blind spot monitoring, and power folding. Now, at the side of the XC90, you will notice that we have the same overall design to the vehicle, and it still comes in at the same length of 195 inches. I do want to point out that's a couple inches shorter than the EX90 for reference, and because we do have the bright theme model, that's going to mean we have chrome on this lower fascia, as well as chrome roof rails and all around our window surrounds. Now, as we head around to the rear design, let's take a look at this. Now, the XC90, in my opinion, has always had a really classy design, and that's going to continue this year. Volvo hasn't really switched up the look too much, which honestly, I'm pretty happy about. Now, as far as individual design elements, you will notice that we have a spoiler up top. And then let's take a look at our taillights. Our taillights are the signature Volvo full-length design through here. They have been darkened for 25 and a half, so keep that in mind that it has a darker look to it this year, I guess to give you a little bit more of a sporty presence. You're still going to have an LED brake light portion and LED turn signal. However, I am noticing that the reverse light will remain incandescent. Now, as we drop down to this lower area, this is all going to be finished in a classy body color or chrome finish. Your tow rating is between 5,200 and 5,900 pounds, depending on what engine you select. Now, when it comes to safety, of course, Volvos are known for that, and the XC90 always had all of these safety systems as standard equipment. That's, of course, going to continue for this 2025 and a half XC90, so you're going to have adaptive cruise control, forward emergency braking, as well as all your lane keeping goodies. I do want to point out that you have available pilot assist as well, which is a highway assist function. However, you're not going to have the auto lane changing that you would find on EX90. But guys, there are some new interior tech updates that we need to go ahead and talk about. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
all right, so let's go ahead and dive into the cabin because there is certainly a lot of exciting stuff when it comes to that. Now, I do want to point out I don't have the key fob on me for this new XC90. I expect it to have, of course, the traditional Volvo key design, and Volvo did confirm that digital key will not be available on the XC90, so don't expect like a phone as key thing like what you would find on the EX90. But just quickly glancing inside this cabin, my oh my, we have a very classy and elegant design. And of course, there are a lot of new tech upgrades as well. But before we dive into that, I do want to talk a bit about the different seating and color options that you're going to find on the XC90. Now, what you're looking at right now is the Nordico interior upholstery. Now, this is a faux leather, so keep that in mind. However, it does have a really nice feel to it, and as you can see, it has a quilted design here in the back. That's going to be a new option for this 2025 and a half XC90. However, Volvo has confirmed that they will also be offering Nappa leather as well as an additional choice if you'd prefer to have a real leather option. Now, as far as the seat itself is concerned, it is, of course, going to be very highly adjustable, and you also have a four-way lumbar support. This will also control your adjustable bolsters, and you have power massage on the XC90, so that's a nice feature that you're going to find. Over here on the door trim, you're also going to have a 3-person memory setup for both the driver and the passenger. But let's go ahead and dive into the individual interior details. And shutting that door, let's go ahead and take a look at the individual cabin details, such as material quality. Now, I do want to point out before we get any further along in this review, unfortunately, Drew was not able to join us in Gothenburg, Sweden, so it is just me manning the camera today, so that's why we're going to be in a first-person perspective, but let's dive into those materials. Now, over here on the door trim, I have to say I love the way this door trim looks. So we have the Nordico here on the armrest portion. Like I said, you can also get different interior materials if you prefer. The color that you're noticing here is cardamom, so that's a nice new color. It's kind of like a brownish tan. I really like it. As far as up above that, we have a beautiful open pore wood, and this is going to be a really thick piece of wood that goes all the way through here. We have metal speaker grills, and we also have a tailored dashboard and upper door trims going on through here, so that's fully leather wrapped. Also, you might be noticing this light underneath of the upper door trim piece, and that's because for the 2025 and a half XC90, Volvo has upgraded all of the ambient lighting, they said, and that's going to be standard on every single model. So we're going to have new ambient lighting that's a lot more impressive. Now, up on the upper dashboard, this is all going to be finished in a leather material because we do have the tailored dashboard. Once again, this is the Ultra model, so I would expect maybe you wouldn't get that on the lower end versions. Here in the center section, this is also going to be new. It's a kind of like a cloth material. It adds a lot of variety to the materials used inside the cabin, and then another big piece of wood that goes through here in the center section. And then down here in the center console area, this is also going to be nicely leather wrapped, and of course we have that crystal shifter. Now, as far as your push start, that is located back here as well. It's the signature twist to start setup that we've grown used to on other Volvo products. Now, diving into individual details, let's start out here with the gauge cluster. Now, this is going to remain the same this year, so we have the 12.3-inch fully digital gauge cluster design. Like I said, it is fully customizable, so you can put different things in here, such as Google Maps right there front and center, so I do really like that. And then up top, when it comes to your windshield, we do have an available head-up display. Now coming back to the steering wheel itself, we are going to have a nice one. It's going to be finished in full black here on this cardamom interior. Of course, the different interior color choices will change the steering wheel color as well. Over here on the side, we have some nice gloss black buttons. One thing I do want to point out, though, is that it is going to be a manual tilt and telescoping steering wheel, so no power adjustment like what we saw on the EX90, excuse me. And then we do also have rain sensing wipers. Now, when it comes to interior storage on the new XC90, I have to say this area could have used some improvement, and indeed Volvo has improved the storage solutions this year, so I'm definitely happy to see that. Now, if we open up the center console here, you will notice that it's filled with donuts. Well, rather just filled with 2 donuts. That's because, of course, our Car Confections emblem is a donut, and we like to measure center console volume with donuts. Now, of course, I'm all the way in Sweden, so I couldn't travel with our full set. But as you can see, it's a decently big center console. We also have USB ports inside. It's nicely felt lined. I would maybe estimate that you'd be able to fit at least like 6 or 7 donuts inside of the center console, so that's a pretty good amount. But what's new is the fact that we have a different cup holder arrangement through here. So you have 2 big cup holders and then an additional little slot above that. It can also be covered in beautiful wood trim. And then we have a revised panel up here that easily accommodates your wireless phone charging pad. So this is a much better storage solution setup. It will allow you more room to put your phone and whatnot. Now, you're also noticing that we have this beautiful shifter. I'm so glad that they left this alone because I love this crystal shifter. Of course, it does also have ambient lighting at nighttime. Just pull back for drive, up for reverse. And then when we go into reverse, I do want to point out that we have a new feature this year. Now, I'm going to go ahead and try and see if I can toggle it on actually, there we go. The camera button right here. And now that I've gotten the camera finally up, I do want to point out that even though we did have a 360 on the previous XC90, the resolution has been upgraded this year. And of course, it allows you to have a couple different views going on through here. So I definitely like that upgrade. It needed a little bit of an update. And then, of course, just press the P for park, and then you have electronic parking brake and brake hold back behind that. And moving up the dashboard, here is where you're going to find your audio controls. Now, I'm happy they've left this as a physical setup just like it was before. So you just, turn the volume up by moving this dial. Now, as far as the audio system is concerned, they have upped the game again. So as you can see, we have the optional Bowers and Wilkins audio system. It's actually going to be 25 speakers for this new XC90, which is about 6 speakers more than it was last year. They've also redesigned the speaker grills, and for those of you that have watched all of our other Volvo reviews, you know that this Bowers and Wilkins audio system is honestly, if not my favorite, it's one of my very favorite audio systems in any vehicle. Now, we do continue to expect this to be an available upgrade for around $3,000, but certainly it has phenomenal audio quality. But let's go ahead and turn our attention to the elephant in the room, which is this new screen. Now, of course, the old XC90 had a 9-inch display that was kind of recessed in the dashboard. This new one is going to up the screen size. It's going to be 11.2 inches, and it's also going to be running the latest and greatest software. Now, one thing I do want to point out is kind of looking at it from the side, it actually kind of sticks out of the dashboard a little bit, so it's more kind of like a tablet-style setup. But as far as the functionality and all of that, that has, of course, been improved. We have a really impressive resolution. Volvo said that they improved the pixel density for this new display, and I have to say, in person, it looks really, really good. Now, as far as some of the functionalities, your climate controls are going to be integrated into the bottom of the screen setup. Now, I do want to point out that you're going to have a 4-zone setup, just like before. You can adjust all of that by pressing that button right there. Of course, you have all the different functionalities. You also do have this button, which will turn on and off your standard heated seats on every single XC90. That's also where you turn on the heated steering wheel. One thing I do want to point out for those of you looking for seat ventilation is that seat ventilation is not available if you choose the Nordico or wool interior color or interior upholstery options. Now you can still get ventilated seats on the XC90, but you will have to choose probably a Napa leather if you want that functionality. Now, as far as the rest of the screen, everything does seem to work really well. The software seems to have a really nice look to it, and it is also very snappy performance-wise. So definitely happy with this upgrade. Now, as we move up, you will find an auto-dimming interior mirror. You also have garage door openers. And then when it comes to your moonroof, I want to point this out. Check it out. We just have the standard panoramic style moonroof, just like we had before on the XC90, but the thing that's noteworthy about this is that it does open up, and we also have a shade. So I saw that comment quite a bit when we did the all-new Volvo EX90. The fact that it didn't open up and that it didn't have a shade bothered some people, so you're going to have a lot more of a traditional setup when it comes to this model. Now let's go ahead and dive into the rear seat area for this XC90. Now, when it comes to just the overall space figures, you're going to be sitting at a little over 36 inches of leg room, which does remain the same as compared to the previous model. So overall, pretty good space figures. Is going to be very class competitive. And let's go ahead and hop inside and start checking out some of the features that you're going to find back here. Now, shutting up the door. Does sound nice and solid. Let's go ahead and give you a full interior look here. Now, as far as features are concerned, you will find the same touch panel as before that allows you to adjust your own climate controls. You do also have heated rear seats. There was no mention of ventilated seats, so that will continue to not be offered on the XC90. Now, as we drop down to this lower piece, we have two USB-C ports. And as you're seeing demonstrated right now, we also do have a built-in booster seat, so that's quite nice. Now, I do want to point out, as far as seating configurations are concerned, we have the 7-passenger seating set up, so bench seating here in the second row, as well as those 2 third-row seats. You can also get captain's chairs if you prefer. That will reduce your overall seating capacity down to 6 passengers. Now, as far as the door trim is concerned, you will notice that we have rear window sunshades. That's a nice feature that you're going to see. And we have rear vents integrated here in the B-pillar, as well as, of course, the center tunnel here. But let's go ahead and dive into the third row of this model. So getting back into the third row is pretty easy. You just grab this little handle here that's going to allow the seat to tilt up and out of the way. It allows for really easy access. And as far as the third row legroom figures, you're going to be looking at 31.9 inches of legroom and about 36 inches of headroom, which is, of course, the exact same as the outgoing XC90. But let's go ahead and hop back there and see what it's like. Excuse the camera work here. It's a little bit hard to do this while filming myself. Now, I'm 5'9" for reference, and as you can see, even with the seat slid all the way back, I still have about an inch or so of leg room, and I do also have plenty of room for me to slide my feet. Overall, this is a pretty nice third row, actually. It does just have 2 seats, so keep that in mind, but the seats themselves are going to be pretty soft and supportive. As far as features are concerned, we do have a cup holder over here, or this little pop-open storage cubby, and we're also going to have vents, which is particularly worth noting because one of this vehicle's main competitors, the Acura MDX, does not have third-row vents, and neither does the Audi Q7. Let's go ahead and dive into the cargo area and what you're going to find back here. Of course, we do have a power tailgate. Also have the hands-free ability. And once it opens up, you're going to find a good amount of space, about 12 cubic feet behind the third row itself. If we fold it down, about 37 cubic feet, and as a maximum, 66 cubic feet in this XC90. That's going to be a pretty good amount of space. It puts it on par with most of the rivals, if just a little bit less. Now, as far as a few of the features that you're going to find, we do have a manual folding third row. It's really easy to fold the seat down, so I do like that. It's just like barely push forward, and it's going to go ahead and fold down. However, we do not have a power folding third row option like we would find on the EX90, so keep that in mind. Now, if you want to fold the second row down, you will have to go up there and do it manually with the levers. And now that I've got those seats folded down, you can see they do fold completely flat with the floor. And, you know, one of the things that we do in all of our Car Confections reviews, we go ahead and get the cargo length, width, and height figures. Now, it's going to be very difficult for me to do that just with one person and, you know, manning the camera. However, I did go ahead and get a cargo length figure. It's going to be about 80 inches of overall length, and we can go ahead and insert a text box on previous XC90s that we have done because, of course, we do expect those dimensions to remain mostly the same. Now, when it comes to other features that you are going to find here, you can lift up the cargo floor. That allows you to have this built-in divider. I really like that feature that they are including. And then lifting up the cargo floor itself, here is where you're going to find your charging cable. But enough about the cargo department. Let's go ahead and talk about what's going to be under the hood for this new XC90. Now, when it comes to what's under the hood with this XC90, we are going to have mostly familiar powertrain arrangements. So you're going to start with the B5 model. That's going to have a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. It's going to be making 247 horsepower, 266 pound-feet of torque. Now, I do want to point the torque figure is up 8 pound-feet over the 2025 XC90, so keep that in mind. And of course, there have been some changes to the overall powertrain itself. It's now going to be using a new Miller cycle setup, so that's going to overall improve efficiency and allow this XC90 to get better fuel economy. They're also going to continue to offer the B6 powertrain, which is going to add a supercharger to what you find on the B5. That's going to be making 300 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. Then, of course, you end with this. This is the T8 all-wheel drive plug-in hybrid. This is the range-topping powertrain setup that you're going to have, and this is going to be making a lot of power. 455 horsepower, 523 pound-feet of torque. So really, really impressive power figures. Of course, it's also going to allow you to go all-electric for short distances. It's going to be 32 miles of all-electric range out of its 18.8 kilowatt-hour battery pack. Now, as far as the transmission, it does have an 8-speed automatic transmission, and your fuel economy, like I said, is improved for the 2025 and a half XC90. So the B5 is now coming in at 26 miles per gallon, so that is going to be an improvement of 2 mpg combined. The B6 will come in at 23 miles per gallon combined. Now, the real story behind this doesn't end there, though, because I want to talk about some other improvements that they've made to the driving experience. Now, of course, we can't be driving it right now. We're just at the global reveal in Sweden. Of course, we will be driving this vehicle later on, so stay tuned to the channel for that. But Volvo has made some changes. For instance, standard on all models now are adaptive dampers, so that's going to, of course, help improve your ride quality, especially on the base models. You do still have an available air suspension, which is what we have on today's example, Additionally, Volvo said that they have improved the cabin quietness by adding laminated windows. So we're, of course, also going to be putting that to the test later on in the year when we officially drive this vehicle and get our sound level reading to see how luxurious this XC90 is behind the wheel. And now let's talk about pricing and availability when it comes to this XC90. Now, Volvo has released the official base price in this model. It's going to start a little under $60,000 for the 25 and a half model year. Of course, as you elevate up the trim levels, if you're looking at a model like what we're looking at today, a T8 Ultra, you're going to be expecting probably around an $80,000 price point, although official pricing has not been released for the entire lineup. So keep that in mind. With all the options, the XC90 was previously topping out around $85,000. I do expect that to remain mostly the same for this new model. As far as availability, Volvo does say that this vehicle will be available not too long from now. Orders are actually open currently, and they expect first deliveries in the U.S. to begin in Q1 of 2025. And if you're looking to buy a Volvo XC90 or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. A link to that is provided in our video description. We also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. And guys, that's going to be it for our first look review of the new Volvo XC90. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, not only are you going to get the latest car content such as this XC90, you're also going to help us get invited to more events like this where we can come out to Sweden and be some of the first people to get hands-on with this new product. So you really do play a pivotal role in the amount of content that we're able to make. So please consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.